at least we're happy that people are showing interest. 19 is a good number.
And we had a number of applications. I think our center was the first center which had the maximum number of applications. Even Delhi University students, because he teaches in Delhi University, so
Many students have applied.
we are all very excited and very keen to join the center.
At Delhi University, do they have a separate disaster management department?
But in geography, social work, they have component. In different semesters, 1 or 2 papers.
No, but otherwise, as per the UGC guideline, the university is supposed to have a separate
Yes,
department.
for every courses, but it has not been implemented. Now, environment is there. Environment they are teaching for every student, those who are graduating. But disaster management is not applied. Still they are in process of applying. Some courses or you could say honors courses, they do give the component.
Okay. But
One
no
or two semesters.
separate
Not separate.
faculty.
Not separate
But
faculty.
some of the other universities have already established a disaster management department. In fact, they have approached us to 3 of these universities, including the private universities like
Private?
Universities, they are really coming up.
and
Private,
MIT and others
Yeah.
also doing it. So, but the other universities are
Government,
UGC.
UGC, they must have sent the proposal, I guess. Even DU through its geography department of geography, they have sent it. But at what stage is it there, I don't know. But they have tried.
But I think that's an important point. We should tell UGC to find out
Yeah.
Yes.
as to
It
what
should
is.
come up in all the sensitive universities, I guess. This has a center, I think,
This is center.
but that is completely focused on social science approach. It is not a transdisciplinary center. Then HIPA has the Haryana Institute of They have a center for disaster management.
The private
Training institute, all of them have. Training institute,
Yeah, training institutes,
all of
all
them
the
have.
institutes have.
All the institutes. But at university level,
No, but the UGC directions are very specific.
it is specific, it is there.
That's
I have gone through that.
2017, October 2017, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we'll follow it with the new minister of HR. Yeah, he seems to be keen, so anyway, we will approach him. Okay. So you wanted to take out your first
Yeah.
Yes.
Before the first time comes in, we want to take up this first newspaper, like the information passing on to
So much tea, coffee, something. No? How about it?
Thank you.
I think
Tea is coffee or something?
Coffee,
Anything is fine, sir.
coffee, or plastic bag?
I had certain questions that we wanted to ask you. And so should we just start?
Yeah, you can start. He's recording, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
You
recording.
record,
Speak
but-
louder, huh?
But you write whatever.
Yeah,
You
just
want to
Chitma
write.
just write it down.
see
I will note.
Yeah. But let him record, there's no problem. But out of that, you can call out whatever needs to be written.
Yes.
So it's not necessary that everything I
No,
say
Yes.
not at all.
vice versa. Yeah.
So, sir, NDMA is such a big stature of disaster management across the length and breadth of the country. So, what do you think? What role does NDMA has to play in facilitating community resilience building, which is a very important part of disaster management?
Yeah. But you're very right. Today, not only as far as India is concerned, I think universally everybody has recognized that the crux of effective response to a disaster or mitigate the effect of a disaster lies in the resilience of the community. So it is the capacity of the community which is most important, because they are the ones who are the first to face a disaster, and they are the one through first to respond to a disaster, and also come to each other's help collectively. So it's very important that the awareness. So what I like to always put across is the first and foremost aspect is awareness. Today people are not aware that what is going to happen to them if they're staying in a zone which is in seismic zone 4 or 5, the type of vulnerabilities which they could be subjected to should there be earthquake. People are not aware, absolutely unconscious about it. And likewise, those who are in areas which are prone to, say, cyclones or floods for that matter, their awareness also is, unless and until person has gone through a calamity, he does not get the experience, he does not get conscious about it. So therefore, I always consider that the starting point is the awareness of the people. The people should be aware that look, I am living in an environment where I am vulnerable to this sort of thing can happen. So should this thing happen, what is it that I need to do? How can I protect myself? That's the second question which should come to a person's mind. That look, I am living in an area which is seismic zone 5. Means there can be an earthquake like what happened, or we people saw images on the TV of what happened in Nepal or what happened elsewhere. So if this sort of thing happens here, how am I going to protect myself? And then comes, okay, I understand what are the nuances of it. Now how can I help others? What is it that I need to cater for? Some immediate, first aid or immediate help. What I need to do, my own survival kit. So that is how the building blocks, I think the first and foremost is over there. When a person becomes conscious and he understands how to survive in that type of calamity, then he goes on to explain to people around his family, immediate neighborhood. So that's where they say, I think we need to collectively think, okay, who are the able-bodied male members over there, let's do something about it. If we have to respond, how we need to respond. So maybe we need some kind of basic first aid kit available with us, how we can approach the Red Cross to come and tell us how to impart bit of basic kind of a thing, how to rescue someone if there is a collapsed structure or such like thing. So that is how you start off, and that is where the role of the volunteers come, the role of Red Cross and various other NGOs come. So coming to your point, so we become very conscious about it. It's not only after the Sendai framework where the community has come into a central focus, but otherwise also NDMA has been undertaking these type of programs at the national and regional level. Like one of the programs that we started quite some time back was on the school safety. Because we find that schools, especially the schools which have smaller children, they become highly vulnerable, particularly if they're in seismic zone 5. Imagine those children will be so helpless because they won't know how to save themselves, they will not be able to react and respond. So it was equally important that the teachers and the staff over there, they are made aware about it. So school safety became one of the important, I would say, flagship program of NDMA, wherein we reached out to at least in seismic zone 4 and 5 various districts and conveyed to the administration that they should reach out to the schools and undertake both the structural measures and non-structural measures. Firstly, undertake a kind of rapid visual screening of the structure, whether they are safe or not. If they are not safe, undertake some kind of retrofitting to make those structures safe. And the next step was awareness of the people, awareness of the teachers, little imparting training to the teachers, getting certain kits over there for the first aid, or about the fire, what precautions they need to do, some capacity building, some mock exercises. So those type of things and all that. What was undertaken. So likewise what we are saying, well, safety is a very important thing. When we say the hospital safety is another one. So there again, there is a system, 4, 5, where the doctors and the paramedics are all busy bringing people, looking after people, and they themselves, their structures collapse, how are they going to survive? So that's another important aspect. So likewise, what we did in last 2 years, we started the third volunteer scheme called Arca. So that's in the flood prone district. So we identified 20 highly flood prone districts in the various states, and we said, okay, you have 200 volunteers trained and give them little basic equipment as to how they need to respond to the flood in those areas. So when I traveled around, I visit all the states, I interact with a lot of people, and I go down to the district level also. I'm very happy to get very good feedback, in states like Himachal and remote areas, Mandi, Jharkhand over there. So people very happily narrated to me what certain incidents, that there was a landslide or there was a flash flood somewhere in the upper regions near Kulu, how these volunteers came forward, how they have networked with them on a WhatsApp group, and how these people have been integrated along with the police, the local police people, the local fire service people. So that is how the things are being percolated down. Like the third program, which is again been even highlighted by the Prime Minister, so you can understand the importance. Even at the Prime Minister's level, his thought also was that he's conveyed that what needs to be done, and on a very small and simple thing which he talked on. What he said was that you have police stations, you have fire stations everywhere. So the fire station people, they should go to various schools as part of their training also, and also they go to a school, show them the use of fire equipment which is supposed to be there, and little bit of they can do a demonstration also on what needs to be done. So people, particularly the staff or their adult children, they familiarize with the basic fire equipment and how to use. So he said that these type of small things can be undertaken. Every fire station has about 4 to 5 schools in its vicinity in this area. They can do that periodically. At least once a month they should go to one school, then go to another one, and likewise, this is what can be done. Small little thing. Likewise, so we try to convey the same thing like the Red Cross people also. The Red Cross can also undertake this type of thing. So these are the initiatives which can be taken at the district level. And when we undertake various exercises, we undertake a lot of mock exercises. So we ensure that there is full participation by these volunteers. We have the civil defense people coming, the Red Cross, the Nehru Yuva Kendra Sangathan, those people also come. We've involved the NCC cadets also in the last 3 years. We involve the NCC cadets also. So what happens is that NCC cadets, their training, what we do, one is that earlier we used to be giving them 2 days of training during their camps. We just say cadets go for their annual camp. So we used to undertake this 2 days of training for them with Red Cross, fire people, and our NDRF. Then we said that it needs to be, done in a manner that we also train their NCC teachers. So what they call the auxiliary NCC officers, the ANOs. So those ANOs training was organized by us. So those ANOs undertake this training for 2 weeks or so. So they also get their basic training, and besides, of course, as part of the curriculum of NCC, couple of classes on disaster management are also given. Basically, how to rescue someone if there is a calamity, and how to save people, and provide immediate first aid, which first aid was as it is part of their syllabus earlier. So we approached NCC, then we undertook civil defense and NYKS. So how we, implemented these programs were in a very simple way. Like our NDRF people, they go from district to district as part of their familiarization exercise. You know what happens is, like, presently, before the flood season starts in, say, eastern UP and Bihar, this is the month our NDRF teams go to those districts, those places which are prone to floods, where you experience because the floods come every year in the same area. So they go to those places, educate people, get hold of these volunteers, and go over with them as to should there be any kind of flooding taking place in this area, what we need to do. Now, the states have also procured some local boats, they procured some life jackets, and these people also position their resources. So everybody is familiar as to how they're going to work together. So what we told NDRF that when they are undertaking this familiarization exercise during this visit of yours, inform the DC earlier as it is he would have coordinated, and tell him that that particular time, those 2 days, have the local civil defense people, volunteer organizations, NYKS boys, home guard, all of them come together. So they spend 2 days, learning the basic kind of thing. So the volunteers also get involved. I was very happy. Last year we undertook an exercise in UP because when I met the Chief Minister UP, so he said that he had seen the floods in Gorakhpur in his constituency, and he saw how the response was. So he wanted us to assist the state in their capacity building at the local level. So he conducted an exercise. They identified, I think, 16 or 17 flood-prone districts in UP. So we undertook an exercise for them. That is the time we realized that they had so many volunteers which were available. People were so very forthcoming to participate in that exercise. And they willingly took part. They were all in the WhatsApp group with the district administration and their functionaries, and all the elements got involved. So we went through this exercise. The feedback was very good. At the end of it, when the floods occurred last year, they recalled their experience, and they told us that this year our losses were much less. In terms of the loss of life and number of people getting affected was much less. Of course, concurrently, the administration had also taken certain mitigation measures of embankment strengthening and all that. That was also on. So what I'm trying to say, so these are the examples of how the community gets involved. And I have seen such good examples from some of the states. So these are some of the initiatives which we started. But the best part is that these initiatives have been taken forward by the states. Like the school safety program, we started with only seismic zone 4, 5 areas and selected the district. But some of the states have conducted this program and all districts in their states. So they made it as one of the flagship schemes of the Chief Minister. They named it a Chief Minister's scheme of school safety. So these are how the initiatives are going forward. Now Aapta Mitra again, just about 2 years old program. You're not going to have water, so I say.
Yeah.
You want some water?
No.
So you'll have tea. What's your name?
Jitendra sir.
नीचे इनको दे दो.
No, thank you sir.
पानी ले लो. So what I was saying was the Aapta Mitra again has become so popular. Now one is of course the request has come from the states that they want it to be extended to other districts in the country also. But besides that, on their own, they've done a similar kind of thing. They named it by whatever name they want to use it. But the concept has been so popular that they've been adopted by a lot of states. And we are very seriously thinking of rolling it out as a pan-India. So this will be one of the things if we are able to put it through within the next 6 months, so it will be extended to all. So every district will have, and these people are all registered, their mobile numbers are there, and their availability is known to this thing. So very good example I will give in Madhya Pradesh again. They've got a similar kind of thing, the volunteers who've been trained, and they're all geotagged. So whenever a calamity occurs, so if there are in that locality about 20 people who are trained, maybe 5, 6, 7 will be available at that point in time. you would be surprised as to how these initiatives are going into the environment. I'm very happy in place like Mumbai. Mumbai, the fire services, which I rate as one of the best fire services in the country, but not only in terms of their equipment and training, but in terms of their initiatives. So what they've done, they also undertake these type of community awareness programs with the corporate, with various other residential societies, with bigger residential societies, they call them over. The corporates also call them over for 2 to 3 days. So, so the people are imparted this training, they again geotagged, mobiles are there. Now, so should there be any fire incident occurring, now the fire brigade people are aware that who are the people in this area.
Yeah.
They quickly contact them. So at least they rush over there to help them. Next thing which we did, we told Delhi government also to follow it. So they've not been able to follow to that an extent, but otherwise, the civil defense training. Now civil defense is a huge number. So though we are giving them training through various programs which we are conducting to selected number of people, that is basically training the trainers. And thereafter we expect that they will go and train other people. But one of the models which I again found in one of the states, which I conveyed to other states to adopt. I always believe that learning from each other is the best way, sharing of the best practices. In fact, every forum in NDMA, when we conduct whether it is our annual formation day or any other function, we always give a platform to the states. Every time we invite 3 to 4 states to come and share some of the good practices, which say like when I traveled around, I observed, so I said, no, we must have so and so state, sharing those things so that others also benefit, and we have had very good feedback. So what I conveyed about this community development and the responses at the local level was, I said the civil defense people, they're all wanting to, sort of be given an institutionalized structured training, which is not possible. But I said, in certain cases, they say that we've done all this structured training, but we haven't got any practical experience. So I said, you cannot have better experience than to work with the fire station. So he said, wherever the fire stations are, you put 20, 30 volunteers who live in that area, attach them to the fire station. And we told the fire station people that whenever there is an emergency call, when you're going, pick up 3, 4 civil defense boys with you. Or Baki ko, you can inform them on the phone that there is a fire in so and so building. If you're free, please come over. So then what happens is that hands down experience also they have, and they also feel a sense of involvement. That look, there's a fire in the area where I am staying, and I am a civil defense volunteer, and I have also participated and assisted the fire station people in mitigating the fire. So they work together. So I said, okay, in their spare time also, let them come and spend 2 hours in the fire station, talk to each other, how to handle certain things and what can happen, what can you do. So you pick up something which you can pass it on to others. So this is how, there are various initiatives which are being undertaken, various things, and NDMA is supporting these initiatives of the state government. We are, in fact, even giving them some incentive. Incentive in the sense we tell them, okay, you conduct these type of mock exercises on your own. We conduct exercises at the state level and where we involve all the stakeholders. We say, okay, you conduct exercises on your own, and we'll give you 1 lakh per year. So that's a small amount given to the DC. So he organizes small little mock exercises at his level involving all the participants. So these are how.
This should actually go down as literature because these are the very important initiatives which NDMA has taken. And for research also as best practices, this should actually go down in writing.
Yeah, in fact, I would be very happy to suggest that one of your research team should be able to go to certain states and pick up and then you document it.
Definitely, we should document.
It should be documented and
Yeah,
replicated in other
so then you
restaurants.
can share it with
Yes.
others. In fact, what I am trying to do, which I have not been able to succeed, but I am pushing it, that I am telling the states that you please share your best practices with us. I can post it on our website.
Definitely.
So this is what is my aim. So I've been able to get some details, but others, some of the priorities rest elsewhere as per the states are concerned.
As far as SCDR is concerned, we would be able to assist you in documenting these
Okay.
best
And you would be
practices.
happy.
Yeah,
So-
because
so-
this is a way, because we are developing our own indigenous literature, which is a non-Western literature. So actually, these best practice should go down. It should be documented.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, people would not know.
Yeah, documented, put it on the
Huh.
website, and
And
people
emulated
can
by
access it.
other states.
And like
yeah.
now today, what I am telling you is out of what I have experienced going to the state.
Yes.
Now, when I visit a state, so like I went to UP, so they told me that they were not, they had not done anything seriously as far as their SDMA was concerned. Their SDMA was not even properly organized. But I kept telling them, like the examples which I was quoting them, I said, okay, this is a good practice. Please contact so and so person. I would give them the name of the person also in Andhra. Andhra has got this model. Then when we were talking something else, I said this model is very good in Gujarat. So you contact so and so person from Gujarat. This model has been adopted in West Bengal. So I suggested and I made it possible for them to get across to somebody. Even for example, Omkar, the second point which I had a discussion with the Chief Minister was his concerns for COM. So this was about a year and a half before that. So I told him that yes, we have conducted a national level workshop on, organizing festivals of mass participation, where there have been certain calamities, like it happened in Kumbhinalabad in 1993, something happened in Tirumala, something happened in Nasikon. So likewise, we had 2 days of workshop on these resource people. So I immediately told the state government, yeah, put you across person from who was involved in Nasikon, and they have documented the thing. So they'll come and help you in preparing your plan. So the team was immediately, so after I spoke to the chief secretary, they wrote to him, they invited him, they had a session, this person formulated a plan for them. Subsequently, NDMA conducted 3 days of exercise for them, involving all the stakeholders. We did that. उसके बाद में उन्होंने बोला कि all our people have not yet come. Can you repeat this 5 days before the event also? So we had to do it second time also for them. But we willingly helped them. But at the end of it, we all feel very happy and satisfied that the event has gone incident free. So that is what a lot of effort has gone into organizing, and what a mammoth event it was. So, but that is where the involvement of all the stakeholders and everyone. So the second suggestion which I have for your center is, I think I have mentioned to Amita madam also earlier, but we've not been able to do it, that when we conduct next state level exercise, some of you should participate. Yes. In fact, we already got something on our calendar. One is, of course, we're going to do it in Delhi, where I would request you all to go to all the districts in Delhi.
Sure.
So because Delhi government was very scared last time also when we conducted, how we will organize things in 11 districts. So we said, "Sab kuch ho jayega, all 11 districts." So we're doing it in 11 districts of Delhi, but we made it this time NCR. We expanded the scope. We included Faridabad and Gurgaon, or तीसरा one more district of Haryana this side. बहादुरगढ़ किसके नीचे आता है?
सोनीपत पानीपत.
So one of the districts of Haryana this side. In UP we got Noida, Ghaziabad, and Meerut. So these 3 districts of UP, 3 districts of Haryana, and 11 districts of Delhi. The dates are already out. It is sometime this month. So I would request you people to come for all the 3 events we are having. First is the coordinating conference and everything, then is the tabletop exercise, and then is the mock exercise. So, and the next event which we have is in Himachal for the whole state. So we give you the schedule. You must send somebody to see as to how we do. how actually on ground these things are done.
We can also, I think, creating a short documentary regarding this, because this would actually go, because these days social media is so much new.
Yeah.
So,
So,
if
so the media
if
gets
visual
involved, so you
that-
can prepare a small.
Yeah.
In fact, the state governments are.
When we went for the Kerala floods, we created a short
Yeah.
film kind of a thing. So,
No, the state governments are video recording these exercises.
Huh.
They're doing that. In fact,
just a 5 minutes or 6 minutes,
Yeah.
just to show what all practices are being carried
in
out.
fact, this is exactly what is helping them in subsequent conduct of exercises. So they click those, have a small video. They use the UAVs to do the
Yes.
recording of everything, and that becomes a repository with these people that this is how we are going to conduct. And the feedback wherever we conducted these exercises is very positive. For the subsequent exercises, their involvement is that much more. So I hope Delhi administration plays up. But we had very good feedback in the last exercise. We had close to about 3,500 civil defense volunteers taking part. Police had mobilized 176 PCR vans that day, and the fire services were in full strength. And in all 11 districts, you know what targets we had simulated? One metro station, one mall, one government schools, one hospital, one residential area. So total about 7 or 8 such things, one private nursing home. So like 7 to 8 places were selected in each of the districts. And in terms of the response, besides the civil defense and the home guard people were in large number, the fire services, the Red Cross were in large number. We had columns from the army, NDRF teams, we had BSF, we had CRPF, and 11 metro stations CIS. They were totally. So all the places, and the LG himself, he went around and he said, I have not come across an event like this in my life. And coming from him, he was the retired Home Secretary of the country. So he was very happy seeing the tabletop, and thereafter he went around and saw as to how people were responding to this exercise. So I'm sure this year again is going to be interesting.
Sir, coming from community resilience, the next question which I want to ask you is about preparedness. So, what role NDMA has to play in disciplining the state disaster management authorities towards preparedness?
Yeah, in fact, when we were talking about the State Disaster Management Authority, I would like to put it this way that today one of the, if I can use the word weak link, which is there today, is that all the states do not have a robust State Disaster Management Authority. The mechanism per se at the district level and state level is not very robust. I should put it this way that in some of the states it's not as good as it should be. In some of the states it's very robust, and possibly they are the states, or these are the states where they experience the disasters, I would say, on a very regular basis. Every year they face the cyclones or floods. So possibly because of that, over a period of time, their organization structure has become very robust, and they put an effort in doing that. While in some of the states, though they vulnerability remains high, but the type of organization that they've created is not very effective. So this is one of the weak areas. Why it is so? It is because as far as the Disaster Management Act is concerned, it has just left that the state should structure a SDMA and TDMA. They've given suggestions, but it is not given a structure per se. So the states, since disaster management is basically a state subject, so it is the states who have to evolve their own organization. So what some of the states have done, they got certain people who are in the administration who are dual hatted for looking after the SDMA also. While some of the states have got a dedicated CEO, that type of concept they follow. Someone has got a dedicated vice chairman of disaster management appointed. While some of the states, it is the person who is the principal secretary revenue on relief he is the one who is looking after SDMA also. So different models are there. We intend, this is one of the initiatives which we want to take. We already constituted a team which will be going through this exercise and see as to how we come out with one of the viable structures for a state and district disaster management authority, so that and what is important is the staffing of it, because today the staffing is also not uniform. So how NDMA is helping the states is that we have got a scheme under the strengthening of SDMAs and DDMAs, wherein we have said that okay, you can hire 2 professionals in the field of disaster management at the state level and 1 professional at the district level, and they are being paid for by us. So we are trying to ensure that some professional content is added to their structures. So that is one of the initiatives we done. We also giving them certain other monetary assistance we gave them in the past to establish their emergency operations center so that they can function more effectively. But I would admit that there is a lot more that needs to be done in terms of having a good infrastructure and good mechanism at the state and district level, because particularly at the district level, that is where they're going to respond. Now again, some of the states have come out with very good initiative. They have set up their EOCs very well in a very professional manner, and even down to the district level, but a lot more needs to be done. That is an initiative which NDMA continues to assist the state government, like other initiative which we did in terms of having better response work. We realized that communication is a failure. You all are aware what happened in cyclone Foni. Now for about 10 days, Puri was absolutely not in contact. The state government in Odisha, in Bhubaneswar itself, about I would say more than 60% of the network had collapsed for 3 to 4 days. That's how it was. Even the chief secretary was not able to be able to speak to us and respond. So that was the type of problem, and we had a similar experience in J&K or Uttarakhand, everywhere. So the communication becomes the first failure. So what we did, we conceived a program called National Disaster Management Support System to provide dedicated disaster-related network which is based on satellite phones. So as part of that, what we did, we said we provide a link from Delhi to all the state capitals, to the state emergency operations center, and also we identified 80 vulnerable districts in the country. 80 districts which are vulnerable to various type of disasters. So total numbers were about 120, that is all the states, UTs, and plus these 80 districts. So 120 locations we have, this project is got completed. We provided them dedicated satellite connectivity. So what happens is, and that is all functional. So should there be any kind of emergency, they switch over to the satellite phone. So again, this initiative, I'm very happy to see some of the states found the relevance of it. So they on their own have provided 1 satellite phone to every district. A state like J&K, after I chaired a meeting with the chief secretary about 2.5 years back, he immediately took a decision and he said within the next 3 to 4 months, we'll provide 1 satellite phone to every district. Likewise, certain other states have also done that. Some of the states which have not done that well, they're looking for help from us, so we're trying to help them. And we're also thinking that this project also, maybe we would like to extend to another 100, 150 more districts, so progressively, so that every district should be able to have a dedicated disaster network. So this will help in a better response as part of the question on preparedness, the preparedness at the local level. So preparedness at the local level includes, one is about the organization per se, the communication. The third one, we talked about the capacity building at the local level by the civil defense and other people. And the other element which we included in this communication network is not only on the satellite, the alternate means. The alternate means is on the HF radio network, which is available with the police, and also, ham radio. That also we try to integrate. So you have various alternate means of communication available. And again, a good model which is being replicated. So what we do when we conduct these exercises in the states, we tell them that look, the first casualty is going to be the communication. So first 3 hours, nobody will use mobile. Now how are you going to pass the messages? So we tell them earlier, nobody is trying to test anybody. So we tell them earlier as to what you're supposed to do. You need to integrate the police net. The police stations have got HF radio set. So it is the radio net of the police which should be used by the district to convey the messages to the state. So for 3 hours we don't let them use mobile or the landline. So the messages are coming through the SP's HF network. So there is a person sitting in the emergency operations center next to the chief secretary's office who's got a HF radio set. He's getting the messages from the police. These are the type of losses which they suffered in the district. So these messages coming. This again, I was so happy that in Himachal, since we conducted 2 exercises for them, we went for the third one, and the states are so happy now. They're the ones who themselves are approaching us that, sir, please come and conduct for us. So we tell them, now we conducted for you twice, now you conduct an exercise on your own. We say, no sir, unless your team comes, the seriousness nahi aata hai. And then we would like it to be done in the professional manner, so please come and do it for us. So we did that for Himachal. This is the third one which we're going for. In Uttarakhand we done 3, this is the 4th one. So what I experienced, I stopped over in Mandi. So the DC told me, sir, you must come to my office. I would like to brief you about what initiative we taken. Then he said, sir, what we learned from those exercises is, you see, next to my office, in this so-called emergency operations center of mine, I kept a constable of police with HF. He is part of me. He says there by rotation one constable stays with their set, and he says, sir, more often than not, any mishap occurring on the national highway, on the road, any incident occurring, I get information from him before I get from anybody else. Because there is a PCR van which is going on, or highway patrol which is going on the police, they got the HF set. The moment they see that there is some accident, there is some incident which is taking place in the highway in the remote area, immediately the information comes. So while mobile connectivity, somebody has to go there, then only he will be able to follow. So that's how, the communication network, the preparedness at the local level. So this model of Himachal, I convey to others. Why don't you do this similar kind of thing? We did a similar exercise in northeastern states, where we conducted multi-state exercises. So fortunately, in all these northeastern states, there is presence of army and Assam rifles in large number. So we involved them. So Assam rifles have also got same kind of thing. So we said, okay, moment, say like example of Mizoram and Court and Manipur also. So moment we said the exercise starts, we told the chief secretary, one Assam rifle boy with two boys with one radio set should come and be with you. So because they got their sets all over, so the network is there, so they'll provide you the information. And likewise, I told at the district level, wherever there is a battalion of Assam rifle, please go to the DC immediately. So I had conveyed through the Assam rifle channels. That moment we say, okay, earthquake has come in so-and-so area, 2 boys pick up on radio set, go and sit with the DC. And now they've established the link from the DC to the state. So that's how we integrate all elements. So BSF, in some of the areas, the BSF is there, so we do similar thing for the BSF. Where the army is there, we do the same thing. Like in Himachal and Uttarakhand, the ITBP people are there in remote areas, so we do the same thing. So the alternate means of communication is immediately provided. That is all.
Their capacities are also enhanced.
Absolutely. So, so now the administration is aware that what are the alternate means available with them. They never thought of it. They said you were lying down हो गया, now what? Because the towers have collapsed, so there is no mobile connectivity. Unfortunately, in Odisha and all, there was no such setup. Unlike the border areas, so immediately it happened in Uttarakhand, the tragedy. The army, ITBP were in such large numbers, so the communication was immediately restored. But while in Odisha and other places, because they didn't have these elements, so that is how the gaps are there. But the police net is what we emphasize on them, and the ham reducer also.
Sir, you talked about integration of different stakeholders engaged in disaster management. So, one thing which you, earlier you were mentioning that different organizations, say youth organization, you work in NHS, NCC. Now, Haryana government has come up. The central government is on pilot basis. They have started police corps. So these all youth organizations are involved, and they can be potential partner in the volunteering. So, do you think that we need to integrate all these organizations, or we need to develop one single organization?
No, I totally agree with you that there isn't a requirement of having another separate organization. Integration can be done at the district level.
District.
Because you see, all these volunteers and ultimately they are going to be at the district level. In fact, in some of the better organized states, it is down to even block level. Because that is where the cutting edge is there. So it is at the district level that you have the representatives of all these people. Formally, he has civil defense and Red Cross and other people, the NCC, everyone. So, but the nodal point has to be at the district level.
So at district level, it is directly connected. They are directly connected to the
Yeah.
operations center.
In fact, there again in the districts, what the states have done, they nominated one of the ADCs as the nodal officer for disaster management. While some of the, again, good example states and bad example states. Good example state is they have appointed someone just as the nodal officer for disaster management. It is not an additional appointment. They have appointed a person who is a nodal officer for disaster management and is looking after all aspects of it.
So in that situation, coordination becomes easier. Right?
Coordination becomes easier, so it's a single point contact. And so like Uttarakhand has done this now. So very well, because Uttarakhand, I quote example because they come a long way after 2013. A lot of initiatives of Uttarakhand and the emphasis on the community-based response. The type of programs which they are organizing on an absolute regular basis in all the remote areas. So building capacity at the local. And large number of incidents are also taking place. And we go a step further. Why are we talking only for disaster? Any other incident also occurring, even if there is a road accident, there is somebody is fallen sick, or there is some terrorist related activity happen, or some such incident has happened. Volunteer is one who is volunteer not only can volunteer only for disaster.
He can be for
he is there to help you. So what I emphasize to the DCs and the lower functionaries is that they are your assets. Invest in them, invest in their training, equipping them. So they are the ones who are available to you for anything. So like there is a serious law and order problem. There again, they are part of the community. They can help you. Help the police. Some additional elements are coming from outside. The NDRF, in case of disaster, will take time to reach that place. But at least, as far as the local response is concerned, and all these volunteers, they can assist you in various kinds of things.
So, we have seen there are many gaps which needs to be filled up as far as Disaster Management Act 2005 is concerned to facilitate the process of
Yeah.
So, do you think that SCDR can play a role in suggesting some changes?
Yeah, definitely. In fact, there is a thought on working on certain amendments to the Act. Some work has also been done, and we had put it out on our website also, our NHA's website, and asking for comments and response from. In fact, we asked from the states, we'll be asking from the environment also. So definitely, I think your center can suggest whatever the changes, and because this exercise we were undertaking for last few months, maybe now we'll, with the coming in of the government foundation, we'll be able to take this initiative forward. So the center should definitely suggest it, and we would like to take it into consideration.
And sir, as the new government has come up, as you already know, MHA is already occupied so many jobs. So you think there should be a separate ministry dedicated particularly to disaster management?
Yeah, this is again a very pertinent question which you are asking, because there are different models. There are countries where they have a different ministry altogether. But why country? Even within the state, you may not be aware that there are states in India where they have a separate disaster management department. They have a separate ministry exclusively for disaster
Yes.
management.
Yes.
And they have a separate disaster management department with a secretary disaster management, additional secretary doing complete stuff, and they are organized that way. So there are a lot of advantages of doing this sort of thing, but I totally take your point. Whether it should be a ministry for disaster management or NDMA should be integrated with MHA, or with MHA elements being integrated with NDMA, or some organization which should be more, I would say, efficiently managed, and to avoid any duplication of control and responsibility. There should not be dual responsibility.
Yes.
That is what it is. And better, I would say, coordination and better harmony in conducting this kind of thing. Like today, the capacity building is the responsibility of NIDM. They are doing certain things of the capacity building. NDRF is doing certain things. NDMA is doing certain things. Certain things are directly being done by MHA. So there is a need for, though we are all coordinating with each other, but there is a better need for greater amount of coordination and harmony. So maybe some structural changes can be.
And parallel, there is Ministry of Environment and Forest also. So there are some.
Yeah, because the climate,
Yeah.
that's also very relevant thing, because climate change is a reality, and the climate change adaptation very much a linked subject as far as the disaster management is concerned.
Because as far as development organization is concerned, you have to take permission from environment and forest, then only you can go ahead. And sometimes the permission gets transferred.
Yeah,
then
that
you
is
can
one
go.
aspect of it, but I would say more than that, how we, disaster management and climate change adaptation are closely linked, because today what's happening is this very high temperatures which is causing heat wave. It's because of the change of environment, the climate change adaptation. So we need to do certain things. Certain areas which never experienced the type of rainfall which we had, very intense, leading to flash floods because of climate change. So climate change, certain mitigation measures are being undertaken by the Ministry of Environment and Forest, while the disaster management elements are not into the loop on what initiatives they take. The interaction is there, but it's not that integrated. The other example is the forest fire. We've had forest fire in so many states. It was taking place in Uttarakhand, it occurs in Tirupati area of Tamil Nadu, in Andhra, and it has occurred in Nilgiris and so many other places. It occurred in Rajasthan, in Udaipur, couple of years back. But then the Ministry of Environment and Forest is not directly dealing with that. While as far as NDMA is concerned, forest fire is not a disaster which we are responsible for. But then we were called upon 2 years back for Uttarakhand district, so we suggested them a framework to organize an exercise on forest fire, because there are so many stakeholders which are involved. The state government is not totally getting involved because they say it is within the domain of the forest department. And the forest department, their linkages are directly with the ministry and not with the state government. So those are the type of issues. So I'm in total agreement with you that these so-called overlapping issues, transdisciplinary kind of subjects, they all need to be dealt very holistically. And so it's better that we have a structure which looks into all these aspects.
Sir, how do you rate the disaster management of Kerala floods which happened last year with cyclone as far as the state disaster management?
I don't think so. We can compare, like I've been putting various examples to you earlier also. Some of the states, the responses have been very good in certain aspects. Certain states, their capacities are better. And certain states, it's not up to the mark. Maybe some of them have not had that type of kind of experience. But to say this state did better than others may not be correct, because Odisha might have done well in certain aspects of evacuation. But what about the subsequent response? You know, Odisha has been appreciated even in the global platform on DRR by the United Nations, also appreciated. The World Meteorological Organization has appreciated the effort of our IMD. Yes, IMD's effort has been acknowledged globally. Speedy evacuation of over 12 lakh people has been acknowledged by everyone. That is to the credit of industry. But what thereafter? So those of us who are aware that thereafter what? Thereafter you see the type of, it taken them more than 15 days to restore the basic communication and those type of things. The power and communication were the two major crises. So their response to that possibly was not that good as should have been, because they had 5 days of advance warning and they knew, based on the experience of Titli last year and Hudud and Fallen and Fate and various other cyclones which have hit the Odisha coast, the power and communication will be the first casualty. So what needs to be done? They should have better prepared. That's my impression. Though of course as of now there are still teams which are going, trying to find out and prepare a report and all that. We'll see as to what emerges out of that. So it is very important that the type of study which was undertaken by your center and various other agencies after a particular calamity, that we sort of analyze those reports with due sincerity and in a professional manner, and accept wherever there are gaps and shortfalls, so that we able to improve and then learning from each other. So that is what should be the aim of these studies.
Sir, going.
So is your center planning to send a team to Odisha?
Yeah.
Yes.
You're sending? Yeah.
But we were thinking that we should go in the month of August. That time, at least so with that, we'll be able to reach out to communities and see that how could they cope up with this communication failure. Not now.
Yeah, now may be too premature.
Maybe in the month of August.
Yeah.
Sir, going ahead with the discussion now, some center-specific questions I would like to ask. That being in top of position at the NDMA, how do you have maintained the connection with the special center of disaster research?
You see, I would like to put it this way, that this initiative to establish the special center at JNU was one of the best decisions which has been taken, and particularly because it's at the very nascent stage of trying to look at certain transdisciplinary subjects, because a lot of things are being done by various universities at various places and all that. But to have a center which starts looking at various aspects holistically in a more professional manner, in a focused manner, is what is the need of the hour. And so this is just the beginning, but I would like to see this center having a vision which should be making it into center of excellence, and should be the center which is networked with various other universities and various other professional institutions. That is what it should be leading to. So the vision for the center has to be evolved. And I think the center which should evolve a vision for themselves as to where we should be. We should be a center of excellence, a premier institution for undertaking research on certain specific areas. And those areas are the ones which are, you know, which are transdisciplinary. The number of stakeholders which are involved in some of the complex problems which we have. So those are the type of areas in which our teams of young researchers should be investing in, that we undertake those type of research. The second thing, as I said, was the networking with various other universities. It is important, to have the repository of whatever the work which is being done and somebody to coordinate. Like if you're talking about cyclone phone,
Yes.
I'm sure that there will be at least 10 to 15 organizations, departments, whether from the government, some NGOs, whether it is seeds, whether it is some other
Yes.
people, they all would be studying.
This time.
They did for Oki, they would be doing for
Silent
this.
phony.
But then each one is coming out with its own report and their own focus of certain areas. But somebody has to coordinate. So somebody has to coordinate, okay, you all want to study this thing. So you got your expertise in the community related issues. So you address community. You got a kind of a technical component of it. So try to understand with regard to the communication and various other things, how could the satellite, the space-based application systems could have helped them better. Study those aspects. So you have people who interact with ISRO, who interact with IMD and others, with the Department of Telecommunications. Somebody with the power, this thing, that okay, what were your challenges? So look into those aspects of it. Something about the response. How effective was your response force? You claim that Odisha has got the best SDRF, State Disaster Response Force, that they're equipped and trained as well as NDRF. But how effective were they? Where were they used? Were they optimally used? What about your so-called volunteers? What about the community volunteers? What role they played? So you should be assigning that, okay, your team of experts should look into this aspect, you should look into this aspect, and then we submit a report, and then we analyze that report. We have a seminar, we have a national level workshop, we have the people from the state talking about it, we have professionals talking about it, and then you prepare at the end of it, what is the aim and purpose? You prepare a roadmap,
Yes.
that this is the roadmap to make the state cyclone resilient over next 10 to 15 years, that we need to invest in these areas. This is where we should be focusing. The National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Program of UN, which is in the second phase now, we've already completed 5 years. How effective has that been? The lacunae which has come about in the first phase, they are being rectified in second phase. One of the main things was that underground cabling. In the coastal area, why were they not thought of earlier? I have been attending the National Crisis Management Committee meeting. You'd be amazed that the daily briefing used to be that we need so many kilometers of cable, we need so many steel poles for erection, and so much of this thing. So the steel ministry was told that please tell them to start manufacturing. They were manufacturing. Collect all the steel poles wherever they were available. Okay, then also there was shortfall. So they placed an order for 5,000. Now 3 days they say order 10,000 कर दो. वो बोल रहा है इधर दुर्गापुर को बताया है they will take another 1 week to manufacture. So we need to have a roadmap, because we know that these cyclones have been coming. It is not only 1999 super cyclone is a recorded one, but the cyclones have been coming in the coastal areas and they'll continue to come for times to come. So we need to ensure that our coastal population, the villages, they become resilient to this type of disaster. So that is what role I expect that SCRR
SCDF
to play. quantity. Focus on research and
Yes.
coordinate with various things. And likewise go on. Why only within India then outside? Which are the other universities where we talk only in terms of cyclones and hurricanes? Which are the places? You had Katrina, we had which was the other hurricane year before last in US in Los Angeles. Irma, yeah. Irma was the one, Florida, this complete
Yes.
area.
Yes.
So that's the that type of things. Study that model. So we that time I had recommended the team should go from India because I saw the live thing CNN how they were, covering the complete thing about the cyclone for 3 days. So I suggested that we should send a team, but somehow it didn't work out. But a professional team should go from institute like yours to go and study as to what they have done, what best practices they are following, what can be implemented by us. So that is the type of role which your center should be having in times to come. Have a good faculty, strengthen faculty, besides conducting these regular programs, but conduct important workshops involving various people, the type of workshop which we conducted this year. That's very good beginning to start with, but that is what we should be doing and focus things at that level.
Sir, you have been attending the programs by SCDR, and in many programs you have been invited as a speaker. What has been your experience regarding all these programs which were conducted by special security association?
Well, I would say that response has
The
been
kind of topics and the kind of
Yeah.
area we have covered.
No, that's what I was saying earlier also, and my response is this: that yes, what you've done in last 2 years is good, but you need to be building on that.
More
But you
relevant.
focused, right? You need to pick up themes which are more relevant, like the initiative which you talked of for artificial intelligence, because that is a reality. That's exactly what's going to happen, and today everybody is talking about it, and we had such good response, good resource people coming and talking about it, because there are a number of again institutes, IITs which are working in this field but in isolation. Unless they share this thing and say as to how their knowledge base, their expertise can be utilized in the fields of disaster management, you won't know how to harness that. So these type of, so it is important that your center selects themes which are relevant is number one. And number two, have focus thing. Say like it should be focused in the sense to focus on a particular. You cannot have in a country of our size. You cannot have a theme which is common to coastal states also, to
Yes.
hill states also. So it's better that you have something which is relevant to say northeastern states. Partner it with Manipur University, partner with Nagaland University, partner with Nehu, or partner with Sikkim University, and conduct a region-specific program over there, along with the partnership with one of the regional universities, IIT Guwahati, so something relevant so people from the region benefit. Likewise, conduct something in any of the coastal states addressing the coastal problems. Something this side, whether it is concerning because J&K, Himachal, Uttarakhand, they have a similar type of problem, and they're all concerned about this. Conduct a focused workshop over them along with one of the states. So you should be engaging with the professional institutions, engage with the states, engage with any of the other this thing to co-partner and then conduct that.
You talked about networking with different sets of organizations apart from academics, those which are giving the technical input with disaster management in India. So apart from that, what SCDR can do impactful contribution in the field of disaster management, apart from this the networking with different sets of organizations, what impactful SCDR can do?
What impact
Contribution, impactful contribution SCDR can do in the field of disaster management.
You see, so for example, we had a national level conference which was organized by ISRO last year. I was surprised the CDR, nobody was there. So you people should be there.
There.
We were not. We were not.
Many times.
You're
we
not
are
aware about
yes,
it.
Yes.
So
Many times
you
we are-
need to keep your tentacles out.
Yes.
You see, one is that people should invite you. So, वो जो है, some of that culture is not there. Even we don't come to know the lot of events which are being conducted. So somebody should, from your center should be proactively looking at as to what is it that's happening in the country, and then seek an invitation and your presence. Because moment somebody would have rung them up to say कि we would like to be invited, they would have said no to you. And particularly if you say कि okay, we'll pay to and fro for our two people to attend, they say perfectly all right, we'll host it. नहीं होगा तो मेरे को बोल दोगे तो I'll tell them कि please invite them. ठीक है. So what I'm trying to say, so it is very important that you are on the horizon of all these events. SCDR people should be there, because if you're aiming to become a center of excellence, then you have not to be
Confined to
cocooned in your own
Yes.
setup in the literal sense of chota sa building over there. It should be looking at things more holistically by being in every forum, every national level event. There should be one representative from SCDR, and so that people know that you are there, you raise the flag and say that I want to ask a question, I am so and so from Special Center for Disasters. So people turn their head and say, oh, there is a center like this also. They didn't know, and then they'll come and talk to you during the tea break. Oh, when was this center created? What are you doing? What is happening? So you got to sell yourself. So that is the right way. Please take this message to
That's a
Dr.
very
Amita.
important
Sure.
suggestion.
Dr. Amita, and tell her that she, when I say she, I mean somebody from the center should be represented in every forum what's happening in the country. There is a landslide workshop which is going to take place in Kerala where your team had gone. You should send somebody over there and share the experience that look, we went and saw the areas which got affected. So then people will say, okay, so your center sent a team. He said, yes, our center sent such a strong team. We went to all these areas, we saw it for ourselves.
We had called you also for some help when that landslide happened.
Yeah, I'm aware about that. So
Yeah, immediately you had seen something.
so that's what I'm saying. So there is a workshop which is being conducted next week, I think, in Kerala on this. So whether the Kerala government may not invite you, but you tell the organizers is NIDM.
Yeah, NIDMA.
NIDM is organizing it.
So they
So
prepare service.
you are aware about it?
Yes.
So NIDM को बोलो, they don't have to send you a formal invitation. They're part of you. They got a new ED also now. Please invite the ED, have an interaction with him. Okay? And so this is the type of thing. So
Yes.
if NIDM is conducting a workshop in Kerala, then see people involved. So somebody should go and put the flag over there.
Sir, in the last, what are your suggestions for improvement and sustaining this
और
vision of the
vision-
centers?
Vision-
Vision.
Vision तो मैंने बता दिया. You got to formulate a vision and then put it up, churn it. You set a vision for yourself and then churn it, give it to NDMA, give it to NIDM, to us. We'll try to help you in trying to evolve the vision. But center should evolve a vision for themselves to say this is where we would like to be in next 10 to
Next
15
10
years. And this is where we should be. So evolve a vision for yourself.
And then work according to that.
And then follow that.
Yes.
Once you set that vision, you see, then what happens is that your website is first talking about your vision. This is our vision.
Yeah.
This is where we want to be. This is the mandate which we have given to ourselves. And then you prepare your roadmap.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your valuable time. It was a wonderful discussion, sir.
But I hope
Nice community with you and
given you a few ideas.
length. Yes, many ideas.
And you have very important points, especially regarding the vision of the center. We will definitely try to implement it, and we'll prepare a roadmap which will go down to our website so that people know that what
You
we
see,
are doing.
You see, because जो मैं बता रहा हूँ ना आपको, आई एम टेलिंग यू वेरी प्रैक्टिकल.
I know.
Yes. Say your person goes to this workshop, raise a question. I am so and so for special center this thing. Our team had come to Kerala after the floods last year, and we had done this, and we feel that this is what needs to be done. Then somebody will ask you, you okay? Then उसके बाद में बोलेगा अच्छा so you center in 2 years so then we will sit.
Yes.
See what is this center about? There's somebody who will not even meet you, but he say yeah someone said about this. I am not aware कि JNU में ऐसा भी center है.
Yes.
You just Google it. So I'm making another point that your website should be very impressive.
Impressive and interactive.
And it should be, it's not part of the JNU. It should have a separate website and the link is
We
for
have a
JNU.
separate
Yes, we
website.
subscribe.
You have a separate website, but it should be made into a very impressive website. वो impressive तब
He
होगा
looks
उसमें
after the website. You should take all these
उसमें
points.
उसमें यदि
Inputs.
विजन अच्छा
Yeah.
होगा,
हाँ.
यदि विजन अच्छा होगा तो वेबसाइट अच्छी होगी.
जितेंद्र सुन लो.
ठीक है सर.
But otherwise also in terms of the graphics, in terms of beautification and all that, it should be a very impressive and user-friendly website. A lot of things which you don't have, provide link for that. So the person who's,
If he is interested.
if he's interested, so he knows about your center, but if he wants to access some of the things, he knows, okay, there is a link to this, there is a link to that, various other type of initiative. So that is what it is. So make it into impressive things, so people will say, कि, okay, हाँ, website तो बहुत impressive. अभी काम में
I'm
कैसे
trying to
कर
call
रहा है पता नहीं.
Save
He
for
really
sir.
worked hard in making